Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show today, Mr. Jerome Williams. Mr. Williams has been a long time as a major league pitcher, and he is now a pitching coach of the Yuba Sutter High Wheelers of the Pioneer League. I'm looking forward to hearing about that. Mr. Williams, welcome to the show today. Thank you for your time.
No problem.
So, Jerome, you grew up in Hawaii. I hate to sound like using stereotypes, but were you the one guy who wanted to throw a little white ball instead of surf?
Yeah. Actually, my dad's originally from New York, and he was a big basketball player. So, my dad came out to Hawaii, but my mom there. And when I was learning to play basketball, I kind of got hit with the ball in my head because I was looking at the baseball field. And from that point on, I was 4 years old. My dad was like, "You want to go play baseball?" And I told him yes. And from that point on, I started the long path of trying to reach the big leagues. When I was growing up, baseball was actually hot at that time. It was either baseball, soccer, or football. Basketball wasn't really big, but those three sports was huge. In my town, we had the Pony League, and then we had a Little League. I played Pony League until I was 12 or 13 years old. Then I transferred over to Little League. We went to, at that time, it was called senior majors. So basically, it was real baseball. You could take leads 60, 90. So, um, but yeah, I mean, the competition was actually really good. The year I got drafted out of high school, I think we had six high school players get drafted that year. Myself, Shane Victorino, Rex Rundgren, um, Keela Kahui, Jandon Thornton Murray, and Chad Santos.
Solid careers came out of that
Yeah,
draft out of that state.
it was pretty big. After that year, we had one of my friends, Colton Wong. Um, we had Kurt Suzuki, went to Fullerton, but he's from Hawaii. Keela Kahui, Reed Santos. So we had some, Brandon Lee. We had some really good talent out there.
Yeah, thanks for busting that stereotype that I had in my head. And sure, some people listening and watching also might have been like, baseball in Hawaii. You were drafted out of Hawaii, out of high school,
Hmm.
first round at 17 years old. What was that experience like, beginning your pro career?
It was scary for me personally. I never left the islands, so it was my first time in the mainland. My first trip on a plane for that long,
Really?
with my mom and dad. When I got to the mainland, I ran into my agent. My agent at that time was based out in San Diego. Went down to San Diego, watched the Padres game against the Giants. Then went up to San Francisco, signed my contract. Then I went to Salem Kaiser to start my career, and then my mom and dad left, and I was stuck. 17 years old, don't have a license, didn't really understood what a checking account was. I had to grow up. I had to grow up really quick. I stayed in the host family. The host family used to always take me to and from the field. I had to grow up. I had to grow up really quick. It molded me to who I am today, by learning how to survive on my own.
So you worked your way up through the Giant system pretty quick. Futures game in 2001. You're
Hmm.
number one prospect in the Giants chain, and you reached the big leagues at 21 years old. That's a heck of a rocket, man. Could climbing the
Yeah,
ladder that quick and being a major
yeah,
league pitcher at 21 years old.
yeah. It was cool, but it was tough at the same time. I remember I had back-to-back years of being the number one prospect with the Giants, and they never put me on the roster. They never gave me a 40-man spot, or they never let me get to big league camp to be a non-roster invitee, and I
Really?
was getting frustrated. Um, so in 2002, I went down to the Arizona Fall League. Pitched in the Fall League for a little bit. Kind of got injured because I threw a lot of innings that year. To talk about the innings thing, like it's kind of weird when you're 20 years old in AAA and you threw almost 200 innings. This day and age, right now, I mean, somebody's
It
gonna get
doesn't
fired.
happen anymore.
Somebody's gonna
Yeah.
get fired. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I was kind of frustrated because I wasn't getting put on the 40 man or anything. But after that fall league, they put me on the 40 man. Um, so got to big league camp, made my debut in Philly for Jason Schmidt. He had a bereavement, so I had my debut in Philly, and yeah, I was 21 years old. Went through the rankings pretty quick.
What was it like when you got the call saying, "Hey, you're going up. We'll see you in San Francisco"?
It was a day off, and my pitching coach, Burt Bradley, he was my pitching coach since San Jose. So he was my pitching coach from San Jose to Shreveport to Fresno. He calls me and says, "Hey, I need you in the clubhouse right now." I'm like, "For what?" He's like, "I'll tell you when I get there." And me and him were really, really tight. I knew his family and everything. And he's in the clubhouse with a Giants hat. And I'm like, "Why are you wearing a Giants hat?" It's like, "That's not mine. It's yours. You're going up." I'm like, "What?" Bert stopped playing with me, and he's like, "Nope, you're going up." I'm like, "Oh, sweet." That was awesome. And then, I called my dad because, my dad taught me everything with the baseball thing. And it was hard for him because he couldn't fly from Hawaii to go see my debut in Philly. And it was hard for him to watch it. So I told him, and he was ecstatic, and then he starts telling everybody in Hawaii, and now like I'm on the map in Hawaii again.
That's cool. So after your debut at 21 years old, man, you had a solid start to your career, up and down a little bit, big leagues and AAA, but you had a solid start to your career with the Giants.
Yeah, it was
Um,
pretty cool. My rookie year,
you were
I
the youngest to do this, the youngest to do that.
yeah,
Yeah, you're doing well up there with the Giants.
I think my highlight was my rookie year was I beat three teams back to back. Um, for my first win, I beat Oakland, came back, beat Oakland again for a complete game shutout. The next one, I faced St. Louis, came back through a complete game. And then the next one, I faced Arizona. And then right after that, I faced Arizona again and got the win. So I ran off six straight, beating three teams back to back. And, it was a highlight of my career, especially being 21 years old and pitching in the big leagues with all the guys I used to watch growing up, and it was a great experience.
Did you feel like you belonged there? Like you said, playing against those guys you saw on TV. When did that moment happen where you're like, I'm a big league pitcher and I belong here?
Um, I want to say my second win. I threw a complete game shutout against Oakland at home,
That'll do
and then,
it.
after the game, I felt like I was a part of the team, and I made it when Benito Santiago pied me, and I was like, okay, I think I made it. The funniest thing is, like, Benito Santiago, he was my catcher for that year, and nobody knows about me, but I was a catcher growing up, and everything that I did as a catcher mimicked like Benito. So I used to throw people out from my knees. I used to pick the baseball. I used to try and do things like he did. And for him to catch me that year, I'm like looking at my idol when I was a catcher. I was looking at my idol catching me. I'm like, wow, this is great. And when he pied me that after that game, I felt like I was like, yeah, I belong here.
But you also felt like you're 9 years old again. What would
Yeah,
the 9 year old Jerome Williams think about getting pied by Benito Santiago?
I would have never thought that would happen. I thought I was thinking maybe I would be like catching maybe in the big leagues with him hitting, but you know, and it goes to Benito too. I mean, but Benito was getting up there in age, and he was still playing at his highest level at that time, and it gives a lot of people um, hindsight on how long his career was and what he's done, and he still played at a high level.
Yeah, absolutely. Makes you appreciate it now looking back on it.
Hmm.
Um, so 2007 through 10, man, you kind of struggled a little bit. Spent some time in the Golden League before getting picked up. Spent some time in the Atlantic League in Taiwan as well. And what was the difference between those successful years of the Giants and then what happened 2007 through 8, 9, 10?
When I was with the Giants, I got traded over to Chicago, went to the Cubs, stayed there for, '05, '06, and then I signed a contract with the Nationals, got hurt, and I got released. Signed with the Twins, went to Rochester, finished a year there, and then the next year I couldn't find a job, so I went to the Golden League, played in Long Beach. It was rough, man.
The Golden League isn't you got the Atlantic League. You spent some time there. That's supposed to be top quality baseball. You got the lower levels of independent ball, but the Golden League, it's kind of situated in the middle, I believe, as far as quality of play, facilities, all that kind of stuff. Um, what was your time in the Golden League like? Was that something that I'd say could recommend to guys kind of in your same situation to go spend some time in a league similar to that level of play?
It was to a point where it's like, okay, you gotta play your way out of here. I think that's what all independent ball is, especially for guys that already played in affiliate. It's like they got to play their way out, and that's what I wanted to try and do. Also, too, I didn't want my family and my kids to look at me as a quitter because I could have quit easily. I could have said, you know what? Yes, I played from '03 to '07. I'm set. I'm good. But I didn't want my family or kids to think I was a quitter, so I kept on fighting and going forward. And the only thing I do know is baseball. I don't know school. I don't know anything else. So, I just kept on fighting, especially with being in the Golden League, traveling on a bus to St. George, Utah, traveling to Yuma, traveling to, at that time, Reno, just going through that grind, being down there, knowing that you're a call away. I got that call too. Got that call from the Dodgers and,
You got a call
went
from
to,
the Dodgers in '08. You spent some more time in indie ball in the Atlantic League in what 2011, and you got
hmm
the call from there as well. You said
yeah,
you played your way out, right?
yep, play my way out, especially from 10, being in Taiwan and then going over to Lancaster in the Atlantic League, and I think 2011 was combined the places I played at was my best year. I think I went 23-2 combined. Went 6-0, went 7-2, went 4-0, and then I went to um, winter ball and I went 5-0 there. So
It seems
uh,
like you almost had three separate careers. You had your early success with the Giants, and you had that time bounce around indie ball in Asia, and then you had that third career where you brought yourself back to life, or your major league career back to life with the
yep,
Angels.
yep. I always tell people I had two careers. I had my first part of my career from '03 to '07. I don't really talk about 7 to 10 because
Sorry.
you know that was the grind years, and when I'm talking about grind years, I'm talking about like not having a house, moving from city to city, going to another country. Um, the family's doing homeschool. You know, um, shoot, I'll be honest. I mean, I got two cars repossessed, so it's like that was the grind years, and those are the years where me and my family we had to like grind. I'm talking about like grind. And then, I always tell people my second part of my career was from 11 to 16. And, that's the one thing that a lot of people don't know about baseball is like, you rarely get a second chance. You rarely get a second chance. And I got that second chance. And
So you mentioned family. I'm not familiar. You got a wife, kids?
I got a wife and four kids. So my oldest, he lives up in Seattle. I had my son with my previous relationship on my high school sweetheart that I had. Um, he's 25. My oldest daughter, she's going to be 21. I have an 18-year-old that's going to be graduating high school this year. And then I got a 15-year-old boy that's a freshman in high school.
Kind of grown up. I always think the family thing is interesting. Between some guys marry their high school sweetheart, have kids young. Some
Mhm.
guys meet their woman while they're in AAA, wait till
Mhm.
after their career to have some kids. Yeah, it's a different dynamic between all those things. Me personally, I'm uh, 46. I've got a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, so I'm kind of
Okay.
on the opposite. the spectrum there. I
Hmm.
waited and waited and waited. So just the family thing and how baseball and family jive has always been a kind of interest of mine. Not always. I was always the guy that didn't want to have kids. I was like, I'm working baseball forever, travel around. I'm not gonna have any kids. Kids are silly. But now it's the greatest thing in the world. All right, so you had. When did you finally decide enough's enough and it's time to hang them up and look for something else to do? And then at the same time, the second part, I guess, of that question is, how did you decide what to do?
So in 17, I was in the Atlantic League with Somerset. Um, I got hurt at both of my flexors in my forearm. So I did my PRP shot. They released me, and then I went to go play in winter ball down in Venezuela. Got hurt again, and I told myself I'm gonna have one more chance. So I got another PRP shot, and I decided to sign with in Mexico. Played in Monclova, played for the first half, um, played in the playoffs, and I had a bad game. And after that game, I was like, yeah, I'm done. I already knew. I was trying to hold on and hold on, but my body was like, you know what, you've done enough. I mean, from 17 years old since 99 all the way until 2018, you've been playing baseball, and I think it's enough. So, yeah, I made that decision.
Any regrets on that? Do you wish you did rehab it one more time and try to get back one more time? Probably not.
No, no, because I already. I mean, when you're messing with flexors, you're messing with the elbow, and I don't want to go through a Tommy John, and my kids are getting older, and I want to be there for my son because my son was playing baseball at that time. My family they went through a lot. I mean, since my oldest girl, she was born into this game. I mean,
Right.
it's funny to say,
Right.
but my daughter was 2 days old when Barry hit his 600 home run, and she was at the field. So it's like she's been in this game
Oh
since
my gosh.
that day. So it's like you know they've been through a lot, and I decided I got to hang it up. I got to be there for my family. I got to be there for the moments. I missed moments. With my kids. I missed my second daughter walking. I missed my second daughter. You know, speaking her first words. My son was sick when I was in Taiwan. He was in the hospital, and he sent me a picture with needles in his body and smiling, and I missed that. So there's a lot of things that you miss. That some people don't understand with the game of baseball. That you miss a lot of things if you have a family.
And
I
then
missed funerals. I missed funerals, weddings. I missed everything. So that's why I decided to hang it up.
so you hung up in 2018. In 2019, you end up pitching coach for the Kingsport Mets. Um, I know that's still, you're back in the minors again, the low minors, but at least you have that stability, I guess, if you're going to be the pitching coach for that season. And as opposed to maybe I get released, maybe I get promoted, maybe I get traded.
Mhm.
Do you, how was that life for you as a pitching coach in Kingsport and with the Mets?
It was my first time coaching, but a lot of people said that I didn't have any experience, but I think my baseball career is experience. So I use that as a motivation to understand how to coach. Um, you know, I learned how to do it when I was playing. I felt like my last couple years playing, I felt like I was a coach because I would help guys out in as a veteran player. So, moving that transition to being a pitching coach out in Kingsport, it was great. It was a great experience for me. I had two great men of the game that taught me the game, Rich Donnelly and Mariano Duncan. So those two people, man, they molded me to who I am and I am today.
And you worked with the Mets. Well, 2020 was the COVID year, and then 21 and 22. Why did you end up leaving the Mets?
I didn't leave. They let me go.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure. I didn't know the story behind that.
they let me go for reasons that I still don't understand, which I'm not going to get into. But yeah, I worked my way up. You know, 2020, I went to the alternate site with the big league club out in Brooklyn. Worked there. 2021, I was in St. Lucie in Low A. We won the championship there. 2022, actually that 2021 off season, I coached out in the fall league for a little bit. Then 2022 went to Double A. So I was moving up pretty well. You know, I had a good relationship with all the front office staff and the players, especially around that time. You know, from 19 when I was there until 22. You know, we had so much change going on with the Mets. You know, we had multiple GMs and had a lot of movement within the organization. And after 2022, they let me go. So I had no.
The different management teams have their guys and they're not guys. You know, the
Yeah.
politics of it. Maybe that's something to do with the.
Yep.
Hey, 2023 end up in the with the state college spikes of the MLB Draft League. Now, I haven't talked to anybody really affiliated with the Draft League. What was life like with that? How was that?
So the draft league is consisted of two seasons. The first part of the season, the first half is guys, getting ready for the draft. I say it's the guys that not in the combine. So
Okay.
the guys that are in the combine are your top level, top tier players. The guys that go to the draft league are guys that are, maybe fifth, sixth round guys, maybe bubble guys. Um, and then the second half is more of like an independent ball. The one thing I noticed about the draft league, like especially for some players coming in the first half, we figure out that there's a lot of coaches or a lot of teams in America um, that don't teach the game. They don't teach the actual game. You got some kids that don't really understand, and that's the part of the game that's supposed to be simple.
Yeah, it's your job to fill in the gaps there, I guess, for the knowledge and experience.
Yeah, so it's like baseball IQ and knowing what to do with a guy on first, up the middle, you got to be in double play depth. Understanding, there's a guy on second and you're a left-handed pitcher and there's a lefty on deck and there's a righty on at the plate where you can pitch around
Right.
this guy, right? So like those type of things, like you don't you really look at it, it's like wow, nobody's really teaching the game, and that's when we come in. But so it was kind of cool to have like coaches that was there, like myself. I had Tim Battle, um, Jesus Aswahe, and then our manager Dave Tremblay. That's a lot of knowledge, especially getting to these younger guys to understand. Like, okay, this is what you're gonna expect. This is what we're supposed to expect when you get to pro ball.
And now I guess you're with the Pioneer League now. Last year with the Yolo High Wheelers, who are now the Yuba Sutter High Wheelers, and the Pioneer League. I've been to games in Billings and Idaho Falls and Missoula back in the day when it was the affiliated Pioneer League.
Hmm.
I imagine the job is probably pretty similar with that league now.
Yeah, it's pretty similar. That actually last year when we made the team, half more than half of that team came from the draft league that I coached in. So I kind of
Oh,
knew
really?
half the team already before our manager knew any of them. So he would ask me about some players. I'm like, yeah, that's a good pick right there. So Pioneer League is for me it's great. I'm in California. I'm in Northern California. I live in Southern California. Fam can come up and we can get these guys better, and we can get these guys trying to get picked up by an affiliated team. And it's a great staff that we have. I have myself. We have Gary Davenport. Gary Davenport. People don't
Was he
know.
with the Giants when you were with the Giants?
Yeah, he was there. But people don't know that that's the same Davenport that the Giants fans know. Gary's dad
Jim.
was Jim, and he's a legend. with the Giants. And then our manager Billy Horton, he was with the Giants for a long time down in the at the complex and down in Arizona. So we have a Giant connection up here, and it's great. I love it, and it's all about experience too. Like these guys, they think I'm just a coach, and I played the game a little bit. Like, no, guys, whatever you guys have done, I've done that and more. I've been in indie ball. I've been released. I've been overseas. I've been in the big leagues. So it's like I know what you guys are doing. I
I imagine
know.
they figured it out pretty quick. I think having a conversation with you for a couple of days in the bullpen, I think they probably figured out pretty quick that Mr. Coach Williams knows his stuff.
And for me, like I don't come out and tell you things straight from jump. Like, no, I'm not gonna do that. I like to observe first. I like to see things. I like to what I've learned from Rich Donnelly. You know, I had to learn the learner first. So I got to understand who you are as a person first. Then I can get you as a player. And once I figure that out, I have you in the palm of my hands. I can actually tell you go jump off a bridge and you will. I'm gonna have that respect, and then also too, guys ask questions, and when they ask questions, I'm gonna give them. I'm gonna give them straight. And if you don't like it, well, you're not gonna hurt my feelings, right?
That's a great phrase. Learn the learner first. I've never heard it put that way, but that is
Yeah,
absolutely true. In teaching any kind of management, any kind of career field, that phrase works.
yeah. You have to learn the
Um,
learner because if you don't understand the learner, then how you gonna teach?
your words are just hitting a brick wall. If you use the wrong approach, you're just wasting your breath,
Exactly.
wasting your time. And so, you comfortable where you are right now? You still trying to get back to affiliated minors or affiliated baseball as a pitching coach?
I mean, yeah, that's my main goal. You know,
Okay.
once I did get let go, every year from 23 until till now, it's like I go to winter meetings, I send out my resumes. I had a couple of interviews here and there. Um, but yeah, my main goal is always trying to get. I want to try and get back to the big leagues, either as a
Yeah.
pitching coach or a bullpen coach. But if it doesn't happen, I always want to stay relevant. I don't want to go a year without doing something because now if I don't do it, now I'm off the map.
The, the
And
game's the game's moved ahead without you.
yeah, and I don't want that to happen because like I told you earlier, it's like baseball is all I know. You know, I joke around with a lot of people, and you're probably gonna laugh on this one, but I got 3 degrees. I have 3 degrees, and my
What's your
degree,
3 degrees?
it's MLB, MILB, and international. It's all baseball. It's never, and my school is the baseball field. That's my school, and I've learned so much in this game, and the day that I don't learn something new is the day I hang it up. So I'm still learning.
Gotcha. All right, man. Well,
Every time I'm back at home, I'm helping out with the local high school where my son goes to. Just this year, I was helping out the varsity team. I was a pitching coach there. I'm doing a lot of lessons at a facility that I work out at. So I'm just keeping myself busy, man.
one last thing for you, man. I know we didn't touch on your mother. Much was made in your playing days in the media and stuff. If she passed away before you were able to reach the minor leagues, breast cancer, and you've been involved with breast cancer organizations and such and awareness since you were a player.
Still, I still have all my gloves. So I got like 4 more left. So my thing was when I was in the big leagues, when we had Mother's Day, I used to catch the first pitch if we were at home, and I'll catch it with a brand new pink glove, and then I'll sign it and give it to the honorary woman that actually threw out the first pitch.
Also, I just want to add, it's just a weird coincidence that I messaged you and he messaged me back and said, "Hey, Sunday, and here it is, Mother's Day." And
Yeah,
here we are talking about moms too. But I appreciate you, man. I lost my mom 4 years ago. She had some health problems and COVID was going on, and
Mm-hmm.
my son was 1 when she passed away, and she never got a chance to meet him. And my wife got pregnant with her second kid after she had passed away. So Mother's Day is a tough day for me too, and
Mm-hmm.
I text my wife today. I was like, she's at work. I text her and I say, man, it's a good thing I have my kids and Jerome Williams because Mother's Day is kind of tough.
Yeah, it is tough. It's a tough day for me. Um, there are 2 days. There are 2 days that are tough for me. Mother's Day and then the day that my mom passed. So it's tough. I lost my mom when I was 18 years old. It's tough. So you know, just like today, I'm doing laundry, and I just remembered like I can't put white with red. Right? I couldn't put my white shirt with my red pants, and then all of a
How'd you
sudden
learn that?
I thought about it. I'm like, that's what my mom used to tell me. So I always tell people that for 18 years I've learned so much from my mom, and now I'm 43 and I'm still learning from my mom. There's still stuff that I'm doing. I'm like, dang, that's what mom would have told me not to do. Thanks, mom. Appreciate it.
But I just wanted to say, man, I really appreciate you today. You gave me something
No,
to do,
no
and I'm gonna
problem.
hang out with my kiddos the rest of the day.
Yeah, no problem, man.
All
No
right.
problem. No, that's I like to like people who know me. They know I'm like this. People who don't know me, they don't know I'm like this. Like I'm a calm, relaxed guy.
Well, I appreciate your time today, and I wish you the best, man. Well, I'll keep in touch with you. I'll be following you. Have a great season. Win another championship, and keep doing what you do, and good things will happen. All right.
All right, thank you, sir. I appreciate that.